Friday, November 17th, 2023. Today on the Daily Review, we discuss 1968 Angry Young Man movie by Lindsay Anderson. That's right, it's If, with your host, me, Professor Joe LaRocca. There we go. This movie stars Malcolm McDowell and Gloria Noonan and some other people. What's that beeping? That's not coming from me, it's coming from outside. Hang on. You can see the cars better. All right. Yeah, this is one of my favorite movies of this time period. There's this whole kitchen sink cinema, I guess they call it, or angry young man movement that happened throughout the 60s, starting with things like Billy Liar and Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner and kind of moving its way up. This Sporting Life, things like that. Saturday night, Sunday morning, is that what that's called? Or Sunday Bloody Sunday, I mean. All of those, they're great. And this is about a Borstal, which is like a... it's a private school, but it feels way more like a military prison or something like that. But it's you get sent away to be educated. And it's got young kids and older kids. And we follow a group of three, like, very rebellious kids who are just kind of sick of the order of the system, you know, and they don't like this, the way that England has lost so much of its stance in the world after World War II, I guess, is part of it. There's a lot of things going on. But that the children of the parents of World War II is a big idea here, I think. And then I think economically, maybe England wasn't doing as well, because that seems to be a big part of these movies. Taste of Honey, that's another one. So this, what's so great about this is how loose it is. It's almost just a collection of vignettes about these characters, like, going about their day and, like, their blossoming sexuality, and it seems really fresh and remarkable. There's one sequence where a younger boy, who's fairly effeminate, is watching an older boy on the uneven bar, or the parallel bars or whatever. It's actually just a single bar. What's that called when you're just on? He's on the bar. And it's slow motion and everything, and they just kind of cut back and forth between him putting his sweater on and him doing this gymnastics thing, and you're just like, this is pretty amazing without having to say anything. And again, it's like, this would be an A24 picture release now. This would have, like, a boutique would have to put this out because it's strange. And it dips, much like Billy Liar and some of these other ones, it dips into surreal moments. Like, scenes will kind of just keep going a little bit longer than you would expect. And, for example, maybe one of the most famous scenes are two of our characters, Malcolm McDowell's character and another boy, like, abscond and steal a motorcycle. And at first you're like, did that happen? So they steal it from, like, inside a motorcycle store and drive it out the front door, basically. And they drive to a cafe, and there's a woman there, and they order coffees, and then him and the woman start, like, growling at each other like lions, and they start fighting and scratching at each other, and then they're kissing, and then they're rolling around on the floor, and then it cuts to them naked on the floor and scratching each other and stuff, and then it just goes back to them sitting drinking coffee. And you're like, you are throwing me for a loop, movie. And I thought Tarantino was original or weird or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, people have been doing this kind of stuff since the dawn of cinema. Yeah, it really works. And then it builds up to almost becomes like I don't know, it's up to you to decide whether the ending is real or not. I mean, the whole movie's called If. Like, if with the like, what if? Like, if we did this, what would happen? Like, what what if we changed things with force? And yeah, I just think it's one of those, if you are an angry young man, boy, it really hits home. And it doesn't have the right answers about being an angry young man, but it does get into that psyche real well. There's two other interesting things. There's a lot of interesting things about this movie, but every once in a while it goes to black and white, and it was a budget restriction where they shot everything, and then I guess they shot the stuff that they weren't sure they were going to need or something like that, or they were going to release the movie entirely in black and white originally or something like that. But most of these church scenes that they have are in black and white, and several other scenes. And it's like people wrote essays at the time about like, oh, you know, whenever God's in the scene, it's black and white and he's not present. Or it's like footsteps on the beach or whatever, you know, like all these complicated things. And then like later in their career, they were just like, no, or they were just like, no, it was just like a budget thing. There's no meaning behind it. It was just like, so who knows if they were lying or not? Like if they were just, because that's the cooler thing to say. It's like, no, dude. And when in actuality, it was probably something, some deeper meaning or whatever. But, the other thing is that there's this, like, you know, a female worker there, and all, she's like younger, and all the older students are super nice to her and stuff. And then there's this one scene where they're all out marching. So like everybody in the school is basically outside, and she just like walks through the locker room completely nude, like touching shoes and soap, and then picks up just like a boy's towel and smells it. And you're like, whoa. This movie's like really letting every character have their opinion and have their moment and feel like they have a whole life going on here. It's just interesting and adds to this overall complication of adolescence and sexuality and stuff. It's really a masterpiece for sure. I would check it out. I'm sure it's like free on YouTube's. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to search because there's some movie coming out called Imaginary Friends that has been abbreviated to IF. It's not that movie, which I'm sure will be really dumb. Okay, bye.